All right, let's jump into it then. Well, first things first, Judith, how are you?
I'm very happy to be talking to you. It's a beautiful morning. I've got my suit on. I'm feeling pretty good, I have to say. I'm feeling good because I've just turned the corner on COVID. I got COVID when I went to London to do a couple of performances, and a month later, I had to. The minute I was clear, I had to immediately do shows. Bad idea, but I had to, almost killed me. But I had to do them, and only now, it's a month later, and I think I talked to a lot of people about this. Only now do I feel human again. So today I'm feeling really
That's very good to hear. That's very good to hear.
Relieved.
And then I had a similar thing. It took me a while to get back into kind of a normal shape. I was exhausted for a while after. So,
oh my God, it's not the actual, I keep saying this to people. When you have it, I was thinking, oh, this isn't so bad. This isn't so bad. I'm fine. I can do this. Afterwards, oh my God, it's just, and I'm having people saying to me, should I be feeling this? Why am I still feeling this? I've got this tightness in my chest. I've got the stomach thing. I've got this, I've got that. And it's been weeks. And I'm like, yep. Yeah, this is, when people say it's like, it's a cold, it's the flu. No, which is why I'm a little angry, I have to say, with all the airlines and with people indoors. We should still be wearing masks. We should. It's a small thing, because even though people aren't dying, or people still are dying, but I personally would prefer to see an audience wearing masks, so I knew that they were taking care of themselves and being safe. I would prefer that, because it's not done with us. This isn't over.
No, I don't think so either. But let's talk about some more fun things. Yeah, because we've been talking about it for 2 years.
I mean, the antithesis of all of this is music. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think it's this album, because the kind of spark for it was to capture joy, and specifically joy from your childhood, a certain musical joy you got from listening to the people that you listen to. But one thing I firstly wondered was, you grew up around music, obviously, and all that stuff, but did you ever have a rebellious phase where you went all punk or metal or something for a couple of months?
No, there's no need. There's absolutely no need. Musicians don't need to rebel. I mean, as far as people who become like rebellious punk musicians or rock musicians, just about, I would say, never come from a musical background. The business, my family, they were musicians. They were, that was what we did. That was our business, if you want to say, that was the family business. There's nothing to rebel against, because I had complete freedom to do and to express whatever I wanted musically. I mean, it's different when you're, I guess, your dad's a banker and and your mother's working in whatever it might be, in an office or something, and they want you to go to university and just to get a good job and to nothing. That's what you rebel against. I had a family that were like, yeah, be an artist. That's what we do. We're artists. Express yourself and lead with your intelligence and your talent. So what's to rebel against? And I find that to be very clear in most musicians, is that there's only rebelling when they come from, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think of somebody like Leland Sklar as a legendary bass player who I've had the fortune to work with so much. He didn't rebel, but that's because he was doing music since he was, a small child. He was training to be a concert pianist, and then discovered the bass and fell in love with that. He came from a very unmusical family, but because he was already absorbed in music, because he was already absorbed in being a living musician, in classical music, in jazz, in pop, in whatever he was listening to, there is less of a tendency, I think, to have that reaction. I think, again, it's like if you look at the Sex Pistols, if you look at the whole thing of punk and rock and being an angry 14-year-old boy who wants to like piss his parents off, it's an act of sheer musical rebellion. And that comes to me from a different place than wanting to be, than having music as your religion. Music is my religion.
Right.
I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to shit all over it. Am I allowed to say
Fair
that?
enough.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want to, it's the meaning of my life. It's the reason I get up in the morning. So again, what's to rebel? It's a gift that I get to do this every single day. And growing up in a classical household and hearing these badass women, these unbelievably powerful, unapologetic women from the 40s and 50s playing, that had a huge effect upon me. And having parents who were classical and loved jazz and blues and Motown and all black music and folk and everything in between means that you are already really open and are the complete polar opposite to being confined and repressed and held down. You are open to doing anything in your life. And so I feel now I feel incredibly fortunate to have come across that, because, you know, it gave me joy when I was a kid listening to these women and made me want to be braver and bigger at the piano, more powerful, more confident. And it is an exercise in confidence, this music. And when I was in COVID, in the second year of COVID, the end of last year, I'd been doing really, really well. But like so many of us, I just hit a wall. I hit a wall of sadness and fear that I'd never play again, and that I'd never get back on the horse. I'd never be a musician out there on stage singing to people, because that's really what I love the most. And I went back to this music that had really, really just uplifted me up when I was a kid. And it did exactly the same thing. I went back to those women. I went back to this music that is powerful, funny, joyful, hopeful, sexy, empowering, evolved, accomplished. I went back to the source, and I was in New Orleans, which is, of course, you know, the birthplace of it all.
Right.
So it was all there at my fingertips, ready to do. And so it was the right time, the right place. And I'm so glad I did it. So glad.
There's two things I find very interesting, because one, you mentioned encountering these incredible musicians, female musicians, to at quite a young age, I suppose. And I wouldn't guess a lot of your peers would listen to that at that age. So one, what was it like to kind of delve into the quite sophisticated music as well at such an early age? And then also the fact that now rediscovering those, did you kind of see different elements that perhaps you were too young to understand at the time? Or
well, yeah, Nellie Lutcher started it all. Fine Brown Frame. There were two singles that my dad had, because he had a great vinyl collection. Like I said, he was so unusual. And my mother was into big band, jazz, blues. She loved dancing. You know, it's all, you can see where all of this comes from. It's all there. And and of course, at, you know, age 5, 6, I had no idea that this song was so, you know, so sexual, so provocative, had such this kind of wry humor. I don't know, but I didn't care. It made me happy and made me want to dance. It made me feel good. It was fun. Only as an adult, you know, later when I got into my 20s, my sister and I were listening to Julia Lee and Dinah Washington. Did we then get the joke, get the big joke, which is the double entendres, the innuendo, the deliciously rude lyrics, which just makes me smile, makes the audience smile, because I think what this record has done, or what I brought to it all these years later, is I brought a certain sophistication, musical sophistication to it, because I can't help myself. That's the kind of voice I've got, but it's also that the musicians are, oh, they're just delicious. They're remarkable. You know, I mean, those records were race records. How, this is what's so fascinating. It could only have happened that my dad, as a young man, bought these records because Nellie Lutcher was a star in London with Fine Brown Frame and Real Gone Guy. She was mobbed by the audience after her shows at this big theatre in London, Prince of Wales Theatre. She had to have a police escort to get back to the hotel. That's how much she was loved. When she came back to America, she had to go through the kitchen to get to the stage because she was black. There's the difference. In America, this music was played to the Black audience. This was for a Black audience, not for a nice, proper white audience where women sang. Unless you were Ella and you were singing about romance, then it was okay. And that's okay. But if you were singing about sex and you were having fun, this was this was music that was for a Black audience. It then went to Europe, Britain, Australia, Asia. That's playing, and in Britain, and you know, it's playing for an entirely white audience. And we don't have this history, we don't have this situation. So we're not
right.
It's in every record store, it's in every place. This is for everyone. And that's what was so shocking. At the time, I thought she was a star in America too. Little did I know until I came to America and asked my husband and asked all my big jazz, you know, lover friends and musicians, do you know who Nellie Lutcher is? No. Do you know who Julia Lee is? Dinah Washington? Oh, yeah. And that's because Dinah Washington had white hits with Mad About the Boy. You know, that's the difference. These women opened the doors for Peggy Lee and Blossom Dearie and you know, and Julie London. I mean, that's why I put them all together. I mean, they're all about double entendre and innuendo and the joy of it, the joy of leading with your female strength. I mean, these women celebrated their female sexuality with strength, with absolute strength. They were the leaders, they were the band leaders, they were in charge. And it's a very different thing from what went before with Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith and what came afterwards with a much more like intellectualized Nina Simone. It was a different thing from the Billie Holidays and the Ellas at the same time, but they're dealing with, you know, Billie Holiday's upon a planet of her own being, but Ella was dealing with romance. Billie Holiday was not dealing with joy. She was dealing with pain and struggle. These women were about joy and dealing with how hard life was and how painful life was. They dealt with it with joy. And that right now, and I think always in life, but particularly now, I think we need it. We need that.
Yeah, you mentioned the word confidence earlier. I think you were talking about yourself more or less, but all of these records, and I had to listen to the original versions as well, and then kind of it's amazing. You can still find footage on YouTube and stuff. It's amazing that still exists. But these songs, as you mentioned, they exude a certain confidence, a certain kind of ownership of who they are, and not being bashful or whatever. Just this is me, and I'm gonna have some fun. So to inhabit that, and as you mentioned, your own confidence. Did they kind of align at the same time where you kind of felt that way and then you remembered those artists?
It has all been, you're so right. It's a really smart question because it has all gone at the same, it's all gone like that because the one thing that all women know is we spend an awful lot of time second guessing, self-loathing and apologizing for ourselves and who we are. That's just a fact.
Right.
It's historical, it's social, but it's that's what we've been kind of trained to, but it's also in us to do that. And these women all had terrible personal lives. Of course they did. I mean, that's just the jazz story. But on stage, in their art, in their performance, theirs was an exercise in astounding confidence. And that's what I needed to, you know, I had to walk away from the piano, which is my security blanket. I mean, even sitting at it right now, you can't see this. I'm using it as a table for my coffee. I had to walk away from the piano and stand up, which is okay, because I'm also an actress. I'm also, you know, I'm an entertainer. I'm a performer. I had to bring together everything that I've learned over the years and make it into that one, you know, sort of threat, you know, human threat, which is I had to be entertainer, singer, larger than life, confident, sexy, funny, in control, dancer, performer. It's all of those things that I had to bring together, and I adore it. I love it. I even dress, you know, the way that I present myself is as a nod to that era, to the 40s and the 50s. I mean, I've always suited up. That's who I am. I'm this hairy woman and I'm dressing androgynously. I'm all about the suits. I'm all about that feeling that I'm flirting and having a good time with men and women and everyone in between. This is not a
Sure.
There's no divide between who I'm having fun with. We are all in on the joke. And the best thing about doing this, I've only performed this show. It's incredible when I think about it. I've only done it 3 times. And the last time was in Paris and it took the roof off. I've never seen Parisians go crazy. I mean, they're just not like that. They're very reserved, you know, they went crazy. But because it feels like you've been thrown into another era and you're seeing something that is just delicious and fun and joyful where you can just let go. And what was amazing is that women were coming up to me, young women. I mean, early 20s, some even late teens with, you know, with their family and saying, I want to be you when I grow up. That was my favorite line. Okay. Things like, you know, how do you do this? Or I wish I could do this, or I want to be you when I grow up, to which my answer was, so do I, you know, but I'm a musician, so I'll grow up. But the point is, I know exactly what they meant. It's what I felt when I listened to these women's records when I was a kid. And I thought, how do I get to be that, like, bodacious, you know, that uncompromising, that unapologetic about who I am, and just think in my mind, you either love me or hate me, and if you hate me, I don't care. All I care about is doing this and having fun with people who get it. That's the point. I don't need you all to love me, but you know, it doesn't matter. And we spend so much of our time thinking, you know, do I look this? Do I look that? Am I enough? Am I enough? And we're also told as women in the business, you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't be that, you should be more this, you should be more that, you shouldn't be funny, you shouldn't talk so much, you shouldn't do this, you should wear this. It's endless and it doesn't stop. It hasn't stopped. And so I'm at this point where I've got this record about kick-ass women, and I find myself literally rising to the challenge and thinking, because I'm not a kid, because I'm a grown-up woman, I feel like I've been in badass boot camp or something, you know. I find myself thinking, I don't care anymore if you get this or don't. I mean, I'd rather you loved it, but honestly, it's not going to ruin my life if you don't get this and don't enjoy me. Just move, just leave, go.
That's such a liberating feeling, I suppose. Then I mean, I've always found the arts in general interesting, because a lot of times it's been somewhat sensitive, kind of shy people almost, and you basically have to put your soul out there, and then for other people to judge. And as you mentioned, there's always people that are going to want to have their say or think they know better.
And they'll say terrible things. And believe me, it's self-consciousness and a lack of self-worth that has made me hold on to my security blanket, because I'm an artist. I write music, I write songs. They're revealing, they're emotional, they expose who I am in all my, you know, in all my flaws. And one thing this has taught me is that the artists who put on their armor before they go on stage, as in physically put on their armor and go into a different guise, which is not normal for a singer-songwriter or somebody who's dealing with authenticity and the truth. But when you put like the suit on or the wig or whatever it takes to make you feel like you sort of leave your shy, self-loathing self back there, side of stage, you know, you leave her back there. And what you're bringing on stage is the entertainer. It is the larger version of yourself. It is the, you know, you're performing, you are acting, you are still being honest and genuine and real, especially with jazz, because you can't fake it. You can either do this and you can kill at it, or you can't. You can't fake it. You can fake pop, you can fake a lot of things. You cannot fake classical and you cannot fake jazz. And that's all there is. So, but I wanted this to be more than just jazz for deep, meaningful, you know, like the introspective, you know, shy, deep, dark this is not that music, as you know. This is the pop music of that era that was big and larger than life and made you smile and made you want to get up and dance and feel good about life. And so it's a very different animal. And I have to bring it. I have to bring that energy. And I have learned through this. It's been an incredible experience. I have learned to lead with confidence and self-assuredness, and that helps when you've got a band from heaven who rise with you and bring so much joy and, I mean, just world-class playing, but with that New Orleans grease, the grease that makes it, you know, naughty and real and authentic. They bring it all. It's an extraordinary thing. So I'm not out there by myself feeling that I'm exposing my inner workings. I have this amazing platform, and now when I get back to the piano and play, I have them with me, and I still feel like I'm a mother in charge. You know? And it's been a profound thing, but it has taught me what I want to share with other women and other men and women. But you know, as a woman, that's the thing that I know best, and that is confidence is what makes you sexy. Trying to be sexy by acting sexy is not sexy. It's often sloppy and drunk and not interesting. If you're working at it, it's not sexy. But I think about some of the sexiest women I've known, some of the sexiest men I've known, who are purely being themselves and unaware of it. But in women's cases, I always remember meeting, you know, when I was a young woman, seeing this incredible woman when I was at performance art school. It's like, you know, a Brit school thing that I went to. And the way that this young woman walked into a room, she had like the straightest back, and she just was held high like a queen. And she just sort of like, it was like she was on rollers, like she was on wheels or something. She just came in, floated in with this way that you just thought, oh my God. And that's sexy. She wasn't terrific looking. She didn't have a terrific body. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about that. The way she moved, the way she presented herself was the sexiest thing I've ever seen. And I think we can all agree on that. It's about the way you feel and the way you are that makes you a really attractive human being. You know, putting aside the physical attraction and the body, that's what I mean. And she was fine looking. She was great looking, but not like a wow. You know, she wasn't that. But she was sexier than anyone else in the room. It didn't matter what they looked like. She was the sexiest person in the room. And that, I always remember that.
I definitely agree. With certain people, you can just sense it. It's not about the technical things, like you say, like the bone structure or whatever. No, it's just about something, the way they walk, or the way there's something in there.
And it was powerful because I think what she had that I lacked and that most of us lack, because we all think we haven't been invited to the party of life, is that, and we're outsiders or, you know, imposters. What she had was a self-assuredness and a sense that actually somebody had told her, probably her mother. See, that's a big part of it. Someone had instilled in her that she was really great and to hold her head high because she was really a great person. She had it. She had that. And that is a given thing that, I mean it. I believe that is something that you have to be shown and taught and given in life. That's the love. That's it.
No, but that's an interesting thought, because you mentioned earlier the shows you did and young women coming up to you. So is this kind of the I don't know if it was intended at all at some point, but is this kind of the result of an album like this, where you get to share that and tell people, hey, look at these incredible women, and you can be like that as well?
Yes, I've been doing of all things. I've got a great TikTok following. I've got a great Instagram following. I do things on YouTube where I tell the history. I've got this weekly show that I do where I'm doing the lead up to the release of the album, and I'm talking about these women's lives and doing my version of, you know, of these songs live, because I want young women to know about this. I want young, middling, old women to know about this, because it never stops. Because, you know, the bad voice in your head, the rumination, and it's in men too, but in women, we are like Olympiads at this. So the voice in the head telling you that you're shit. And I want young women to, or women of any age, to see this, but I really, really do feel great when young women write to me and say, I want to be you when I grow up, or when gay women write, you know, gay panic, you know, laughter, because it's just like, it's that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be really attractive to everybody, to absolutely everybody, but to young women, to women in general, it's meant to be, it is an exercise and a lesson in confidence. And that's how I want them to see me. And they are seeing me that way, which is, sexuality isn't about taking your clothes off. Actually, it's about keeping them on and being even sexier because they're on, because it's what's underneath that's sexy. I mean, I know it's like, really? It's a bit boring. No, it's not.
No, I completely agree, because one thought I had when I was listening to all these songs, and obviously we live in an age today where it's kind of front and center, sexuality and all that stuff, but kind of the mystery is gone a little bit, and that's what the interesting bit is, right?
That's
the mystery.
It.
So
it.
With it, and we don't have that much time left, but with Blossom Blues, for instance, that kind of lyrics, and it's just fun to listen to, and it's different than if it's just right there. If it's kind of, you know what they're talking about, but it's kind of hidden a little bit. Same with the way people can clothe themselves. I find that much more interesting, because there's still a bit of mystery there.
Yeah, it is. It's the difference between a absolutely gynecological strip club and
Sure.
you know, that's the difference. Burlesque, you keep it on. It's all about the teasing. It's the tease. And the other is basically you seeing everything, and suddenly you're faced with something that's just like, you know, a biology project. Seriously, I mean,
Right.
I believe me, I've been to both, and it's just fascinating to me. But it's whatever, you know, floats your boat. I know, but I'm a big film buff and a lover of like old black and white films.
Okay.
And I saw those women, that, you know, the Katharine Hepburns, the Rita Hayworths, the Betty Davises. I saw those powerful women, and that's what a lot of, you know, when you talk about Blossoms Blues, that look, and that's in Preservation Hall, which is like really the temple to jazz music, that room, and the room is the star. But what I'm presenting there with my guys is that held back, you know, I'm doing all the dancing, which is of that era, that appropriateness, that thing, but it's all the mystery. It's kind of suppressed, you know, there's a tension there.
Right.
The sexuality bubbling underneath it. And the words, innuendo, is about exactly that. It's flirting. It's not just going blah, you know, it's not the strip club. It's just the teasing with it.
Teasing,
and it's sexy as hell, because it's funny. The words are funny. I'm laughing at myself, at the words, at how unbelievably joyful it is, and the audience are laughing with me. You're all part of the joy, and that's what is exceptional about it. And again, women's reactions I'm getting to seeing me do this live and to watching these videos makes me so proud, because it's exactly how I felt when I was a kid. It's exactly how I felt. How do I get to be this? How do I get to be this confident? How do I get to play this music and sing this kind of music? I'll never. How? I would close my eyes and pretend I was these women and was confident and remarkable and being appreciated and seen and had that resonance with the audience. Well, now I get to do that, and it's both thrilling and unexpected, but it's come as such a huge surprise, and I'm so grateful to be doing this and to be reaching those people who need to see this like I did. I'm so glad that that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's beautiful how everything came full circle in that regard. So Judith, may I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you all the best with the album.
Too. I hope you come and see one of the shows. Where are you based?
We're in the Netherlands, so Amsterdam, if you're playing Amsterdam at some point.
Well, if you ever fancy getting on that Eurostar and coming down to Paris, seriously, I'll be playing in Paris at the Duke Lombard on 16th and 17th, and that'll be the kickoff of the album, and it'll be all the all the gentlemen callers. By the way, we didn't mention that, but it's important to know those players that I call my gentlemen callers. It had to be, because it's like Julia Lee and her boyfriends.
Right.
They will, the whole lot. I think it'll be 7 of us all together on stage. But in all honesty, it's like it's that throwback to how the men are. You know, I'm the band leader and they're my amazing men. I think that's also good. It's also a good thing for women to see and men to see and enjoy and feel good about. I think you don't have to be a threat to be a strong woman. I think that's the point. Is I think men can so appreciate this.